preview. It's a team, Burnley, who are obviously sitting in 19th, very low in the table, but I felt like they've had a few decent results recently. They've gone to Anfield, got 1-1, 1-1 draw. They drew against Manchester United in their game before that. They obviously beat Millwall 5-1 in the FA Cup, but they've started to, I wouldn't say turn it around, but get a few more positive results now against some big teams.
Yeah, and even in their losses, they haven't been terrible in a lot of them. Like I feel like in the recent couple months, they've just been a little bit more competitive than they were maybe before. So I'm not saying it's going to be they're the best team or anything. They are definitely one of the weaker teams in the league. I think that's obvious. They just lack that quality, that cutting edge. Defensively is what they relied upon last season. They relied upon being very defensively solid, not conceding many goals by set pieces or whatever. But I think the difference is in the Championship, I think they had that physical dominance over most teams, where if they just played in a certain way, it was very hard to score against them. But when it's the Premier League, it's such a different kettle of fish. And in a weird way, it's like, you know how some teams, when they play beautiful football in the Championship and they come up to the Prem, they just think, if we just do that, if we worked in the Championship, work in the Prem, then they get sliced open. Kind of feels like Burnley doing it from the opposite direction, but it's hard to call it naive, but they just feel like, okay, if we just defend like we did in the Championship, it'll work in the Prem. But they don't score anywhere near enough goals, and they're just leaking goals for fun because their defence actually isn't that good compared to Championship teams. So last season they conceded 15 goals the whole season. It was amazing, or something like that. And this season they've already conceded 42. That just goes to show the difference in the golfing class. And but in a weird way, it doesn't mean that it's going to be an easy game, because the way they set up is still going to mean we struggle, because we've been lacking in opening teams up. We've been lacking kind of creating those openings. We have one of the lowest open play XGs in the whole league, so we really struggle from open play. So unless we're going to be creating lots of chances from set pieces, I still envisage Tottenham being very stodgy in this game, especially as well. Gallagher's new to the team. We've still got to implement him, so that's obviously one element to it. But hopefully we get off to a positive start, and then all of a sudden the Burnley heads drop a bit and think they start to lose confidence. But they seem quite confident at the moment. Although I'll say, watching that Liverpool game, they were very lucky to get a point or get away with it.
And the Man United game as well, to be fair.
Man United as well. Man United should have won that game. But they just found a way in both of getting a point somehow.
Yeah.
A bit luckily.
Well, it's just basically missed chances from both teams. They weren't clinical enough. And can you back Spurs to be clinical enough? Probably not at this moment in time. So you're looking at this Burnley side in terms of quality. I think Esteve at the back probably can move on to a better team. I think Kyle Walker has served his purpose this season. But apart from that...
Well, that Luiz he's a midfielder, but he was supposed to
Florentino.
Yeah, Florentino Luiz.
Has he stood out this season for them?
I think he's been one of their better players, but I remember he was much talked about at Benfica.
Yeah.
Because he had unbelievable underlying stats. Obviously he hasn't set the world alight, but he's been pretty good.
Marcus Edwards is an interesting one, because last time he played against us, he scored, didn't he, with Sporting Lisbon. I'm reading Pochettino's book at the moment, and the kind of stuff he says about Marcus Edwards in that book, about being so similar to Messi, and he regretted saying that because of his attitude and everything surrounding that. And I think him calling him he didn't call him the next Messi. He said he had a lot of attributes like Messi. It kind of swayed him off path a little bit and made his head a bit bigger than what it was.
You preparing for the return?
Yeah. No, it's a really interesting book. I'm about halfway through it at the moment. But Edwards, on his day, can really hurt us. He's a player with really top individual skill. But obviously he can't find his day often enough. That's his problem.
I think it was his first goal of the season, wasn't it?
Yeah, he hasn't played that much, I think.
Against Liverpool. So it was a nice goal, but I feel like he's actually...
He got an assist against Man U as well.
Yeah, I feel like recently he's been playing a bit more. He's got into the team a bit more. I think it's fun. He found it quite difficult beforehand. to kind of find maybe he wasn't doing what Parker was asking him to do, like defensively and all that kind of stuff. But it's been so bad defensively. I think Parker's finally gone, okay, maybe we just need a little bit going forward, and maybe Edwards can provide a bit of a spark. And I feel like he has a bit. I thought against Newcastle as well, he played. I know they lost, but he played quite well in that game as well. So maybe he's starting to find his place in the team, Marcus Edwards, to be fair.
And that's where they've really struggled this season, is their forward players. They haven't been able to find a number 9 that's been regular for them this season. They've been in and out with like Lyle Foster, Fleming, now Broja is the flavour of the month for them. They just can't find a striker which they're comfortable with to play regularly. Jadon Anthony as well, he started the season pretty well, but he's been kind of in and out of the team since then. They just don't have attacking quality, do they? Burnley. No. But what they do is they sit in pretty well. They make themselves kind of hard to score against, but because of the quality, teams do score against them. That's the reality.
Yeah, and obviously they have what's his name, Lyle Foster, who did all right in the he did all right in the Prem last time they were in it, but I think he hasn't really got going this season. Broja, they signed for decent money. He's just been a player plagued by injury and never quite been good enough. Jadon Anthony's had a good season now, hasn't he?
He started well, but I think he's gone a bit quiet since.
He scored against United.
Yeah.
Nice goal. He's obviously been one to watch. He's been quietly impressive. But yeah, they've been playing, I think they've been mixing their formation up this season. I think they're playing 4-2-3-1 recently.
3-4-3 recently, no?
It says here 4-2-3-1.
I think against Liverpool they played 3-4-3.
Opposition, sorry, yeah, 3-4-3. I was reading the wrong one. Yeah, they've been mixing it up. So they've some games 4-2-3-1, and some games 3-4-3. So
I imagine they go 3-4-3 against us.
Millwall was 4-2-3-1, and both last games in the league have been 3-4-3.
Usually when they're playing a better team, well, most teams are better than them, but when they're playing one of the top teams, they go 3-4-3. I don't know if they consider us one of the top teams in the league or not.
So they had a long losing run where they were kind of like stubborn in their 4-2-3-1 formation, and then it kind of like they drew a line under it against against Bournemouth, and they started playing 3-4-3 against Everton, and since then every game has been a back three, and they've lost. They've unbeaten in 4 of their last 6. And drawn 3 of them, 1-1 against Millwall. So haven't won since Wolves back in October. They haven't won a game.
Whenever they have a positive result, it seems like Dubravka's having such a really good game for them, doesn't he? Like makes save after save. I think he made like 8 or 9 saves in the last game against Liverpool. Made many against Manchester United. Made many again in that 0-0 draw against Everton as well. Like whenever Burnley get a result, he is like their saviour pretty much.
Yeah. And he's had a pretty good season, to be fair.
Yeah, and doesn't he have previous of having top performances against us as well?
Yeah, one for Newcastle.
So I can really see that being, well, we need to create chances to do that.
Do you think Frank will look at them playing a 3-4-3 and think maybe just match them up and we'll definitely win this game?
I was thinking that, and he might take inspiration from the decision he made against Dortmund, and we matched them up. Yeah, we matched them up that game, and obviously we found, But I feel like Frank might look at this and just bank on the quality that we have as being better than Burnley.
Yeah,
and play our own game. I don't know, but Frank usually does take too much sort of account into the opposition, so maybe he will. It might be a possibility. What do you reckon?
I think he'll be thinking about it.
Well, he'll definitely be thinking about it, but will he do it?
But if he does it, that means a back three of Van der Ven, Danso. I guess if you put Danso in there, you also got the long throws in, which is obviously big. Danso, Romero, then what was it, a Doggy, a left wing back, or Spence? And then Porro. And what I do think the advantage you definitely get is I do think if Xavi starts, I think he looks so much better in the front three with 2 10s basically behind the striker. I think that really suited him, to be honest. And so I think he'll be looking at thinking, is that worth doing? But then, look, I guess the elephant in the room is Tell probably doesn't start if we go that way. And
there's a conversation to be had about Tell right now, because obviously he's made that decision of the Champions League squad, second time this season. He's come out and said about how unhappy Tell is. There's obviously been reports from Romano and everyone else saying that Tell wants to leave in this January transfer window and he's not happy with the situation at Spurs and wants to leave as long as Thomas Frank's at the club. We know that Tell is a professional, very, top professional in terms of the way he handles himself, but there's only so much that a player can be pushed, right? I just wonder if Tell is going to be able to put all that to one side and perform to the levels that he has been doing over the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Well, yeah, for me, whether or not he's capable of doing it, you got to give him the chance to. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't drop him because he's angry.
It can make it worse.
That would make no sense to me. He's playing well. He deserves his spot in the team. I know you had to make a tough decision and you made it, and he's not happy about it. But just because he's not happy about it, which I'm happy he's not happy about, because why should he be? But you still got to give him that chance to prove you wrong. And that's the only way to do it is playing him.
I'm not saying that Tell's not going to start. I think he will start. What I'm saying is that will he be able to keep up that performance level with all this going on in the back of his mind?
Well, hopefully he can use it as motivation and fuel. Yeah, who knows? We all know he's a young player. Sometimes they can let their emotions get the better of him. But Tell doesn't seem to be that kind of guy. He can be quite emotional. We saw that when he got taken off against West Ham. Was it on the hour? He was like moping around and stuff. So he's clearly frustrated and not happy. But I also think he has dealt with all the setbacks pretty well so far this season. So I think
sometimes it's just a subconscious thing, and you can go out with the best intentions in the world to play well. But when he has so many kickbacks he's had, so many knocks by Thomas Frank this season, and it's just like I've said it time and time again, the treatment of him has been disgraceful this season. And with him, pretty much saying, via the press that he wants to leave, he hasn't said that before, or that kind of narrative hasn't been there before up until, recently. So I don't know. I just feel sometimes subconsciously these maybe instead of being at 100%, he might be at like 70%. You know what I mean?
I mean, he might be, but I'm just saying the evidence we've seen is that he's handled these setbacks well. So I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. We have to wait and see how he plays.
Yeah, but we haven't seen him since the latest setback. That's the thing.
Right, that's my point.
Yeah.
You have to give him the chance.
Like I said, he's going to play. I have no doubt about that. But it's just about, are we going to see that same level from Tell that we saw before this decision?
Who knows?
It's going to be a hard one. But the reality is, if Spurs are going to get anything from this game, we are going to need to be on it. We need to drive at them at 100 million miles an hour. We need to be crisp in the midfield and our passing like we saw against Dortmund. We need to take our chances. We need to be creative. We need to do all the kind of good things that we saw in that Dortmund game.
Yep.
Because it's such an important game. Every game's such an important game when you're so in such a bad position in the league.
But it's going to be very different to Dortmund. It's going to be very it's all well and good doing the same things, but with Dortmund we were basically playing and Jed and Odegaard into space every time. And we're not going to have that space.
True.
So it's going to need a different kind of skill set. We're going to have to be stronger. We're going to have to probably deal with more long balls and more like second balls and stuff, things like that.
I actually feel Andy Robertson would be a good guy to have in this game.
Yeah, if we could have got him through the door, but
because what he brings to you is bite in the challenge, which we're going to need, and crossing ability, which we're going to need as well.
I think the main thing as well, it just keeps those standards. Sometimes especially in recent seasons, we've lost to teams we just should never be losing to, and maybe with someone like Robbo there barking orders on the pitch and being a leader, he could just make sure standards don't drop and hold people accountable, which maybe hasn't happened enough over the past 18 months in the league.
Yeah,
losing to, would we have lost that game against West Ham if Robbo's on the pitch? Maybe he would have made sure we're still switched on. But it's hard to give him that much credit, isn't it? Can he change the whole mentality of the team? Maybe not, but maybe he can help.
Yeah, and that's what we need, is step by step. It's nothing's an overnight fix at this football club. But I think it definitely goes some way, or not some way, but it definitely improves the kind of mentality maybe behind closed doors and being able to hold people to standards. And, it's just been too passive sometimes, and maybe he can help just keep those the mentality at this football club a bit higher than it was yesterday, basically. So look, we'll see how it all goes, but yeah, we don't win this game, like, I don't know, man. Surely they have to think about desperately making a change. Like, after the West Ham game, surely they were putting out feelers and speaking to people who can come in as interim if the inevitable happens and Thomas Frank gets sacked.
I'd like to think so, but I think they're planning to move ahead with him. It looks like at the moment. Obviously, they're having those conversations. So look, they must have been thinking about it if they're having meetings and all these kind of things behind the door, behind closed doors and stuff like that. Obviously, they're still having lunches with Frank, and it seems like business as usual apparently from that point of view. So whether his job is really hinging on this, I don't know, because I think they're going to give him that Frankfurt game. I think they're going to give him till the end of the month at the very least, and then maybe after the window close, I'll make a decision. But if we lose it, I think, again, similar to like what I said before, like, which I think the West Ham result we lost, and that was like a big shock to the system. We then corrected it with we didn't correct it, but we then turned it around a bit again on Tuesday with a good performance and win against Dortmund. But if we were then to get another slap in the face against Burnley, then I think there might be...
The knives will be out.
Yeah, the knives will definitely be out. And maybe they'll just... Again, sometimes it's all about timing, and sometimes one depends how they're feeling on the day. If they're like, okay, bam, we have to make the decision, let's just do it, cut the tie. Like,
guess how bad it is. Like, if we have a 1-1 game and, you know, we've had so many chances, we're just not putting the ball away, and
play like Liverpool
you know, Liverpool, the Man United game where, you know, Dubravka's having a worldie of a game, but actually Spurs have played a win here, but we just haven't got the win, then yeah, that's fair enough. But if we've played a lot with how we've played all season and we're barely creating a chance, and, you know, it was pretty an easy day at the office for Burnley and they've won or they've taken a draw, it's a 0-0 or something like that, then I think the club need to make a decision.
Yeah, I agree. Do you reckon Robbo backs out if we sack Frank on the weekend?
Probably not. I don't know.
But
do you reckon he's a Frank signing or is he a club signing? What is he?
Considering that we were planning to go for him in the summer, that sounds like he's a club signing.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm just not looking forward to this game tomorrow. I think it's going to be a dirty game, man.
They're going to be fighting tooth and nail to get any points they can. They're going to try and drag us down to their level. And knowing us,
they don't need to exactly. They don't need to drag us down. We're already there, man.
We're going to drag them down to our level.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what we're going to do.
Exactly.
God, yeah, let's just hope we show something. Look, I think it's going to be a difficult game. I think it's going to be a real tough game. Burnley, as much as we should be winning, we should expect to win, they are still can be tough. We've seen that over the last few weeks, that they can be a tough team to play against, and Parker's not a bad manager. So I'm expecting them to set up in a way to stifle us. Obviously, we did also play on Wednesday, so some of these players might be tired and whatever. So we'll see how that's affected the team. But that wouldn't be an excuse at all, to be honest. And we've got a big game coming up on the next Wednesday against Frankfurt. So there's a lot riding on this game. It's very important. What would you rather win this game and lose on Wednesday and miss out on top 8, or lose this game and win on Wednesday and get the top 8?
I hate these hypotheticals, man. I just want to win every game.
Yeah, would you rather win every game, win the league? Yeah, of course. What game has more importance to you? What do you think should be
both
prioritised?
so important. I think we need to prioritise both. Like, they're both so important, because if we lose this, there is a genuine chance of a relegation battle this season. That's the facts.
But that can be recovered. Top 8 can't. You're either in or you're out.
Yeah. But do I trust them to recover it? Like, relegation, man. At least if we lose against Frankfurt, we're still in the Champions League.
Yeah, but put it this way: if we let's say what you say is true, we lose and we're in a relegation battle. What better way to ease those fears than to have 2 less games in the Champions League?
Sorry, say that again. What did you say?
If we have 2 less games in the Champions League,
yeah,
that's more time to prepare for these games, and more likely we probably get results.
Yeah.
In the other games, whereas if we win tomorrow and lose against Frankfurt, the schedule becomes even more congested, and with the injuries we got, it's more of a problem potentially long term.
Yeah, I think because we're out of both cups, Like, the schedule isn't that crazy. We're literally just in 2 competitions now from now to the end of the season. I actually think this game is more important when you're looking at the fixtures in the Premier League going ahead. I really want to finish in the top 8, obviously, and I think that is very important as well. But when you're looking at our next 5 Premier League games, it's daunting. It really is.
Yeah, we have to get a win here because we're not
That's
winning
what
for
I'm
another
saying.
month.
That's what I'm saying. We've got Man City, Man United, Newcastle, Arsenal. Like, where are we winning in those 4 games, judging how we're playing right now? So we need 3 points. If we get 3 points in this game, I think it goes some way to putting a bit of gap and buffer, even more of a buffer to those bottom teams, where it's not ideal if we finish outside the top 8, and it wouldn't be great, but we are still in the Champions League and we still live to fight another day in that competition. And yeah, it adds 2 more games to the schedule, which we probably don't need right now, but I'm looking more at survival than I am winning the Champions League. And
No, I'm not saying about winning the Champions League. Does it give you a better chance to survive if you've got less load on the players from the schedule?
Maybe slightly, but in those games for the schedule, we're playing the games that we've got in the next 4 game weeks. That's when the Champions League game is. So with or without those Champions League games, I don't trust us to win any of those games.
But you got a better chance to.
Yeah, fine, better chance to, but we've got a better chance of putting points on the board if we win tomorrow. That's our best chance.
Guaranteed, yeah. True. It's an interesting one, but I wonder. I don't think he can afford to not prioritise this game, but I think he's got to manage his squad, of course, in whoever's fit and who's not. But yeah, I think
we should have more than enough available to win both these games.
Let's say Solanke can only play either 70 minutes in this game or 70 minutes, and he has to be on the bench for one and has to start the other one.
But I think we got more than enough. We've been through the different lineups that we can play. We've got more than enough where we've got more than enough quality where we can win this game and win the game on Wednesday.
I understand that. My point. I'm not saying we're not going to try and win both. Of course we will. I'm just saying. Let's say for example Solanke, we know he's 70% fit. Let's say Frank, the medical staff, come to him and he says, look, he can play on the weekend. That means he can't start on Wednesday. But if he's on the bench this weekend, you can start him on Wednesday.
Yeah.
What one do you do?
I'll probably bench him on this weekend.
You probably bench him.
Yeah, because I feel like just because he can start this weekend, but it's still a quick turnaround. I know it's a bit longer from Wednesday to Saturday than Tuesday to Saturday, but if you bench him, then he'll be super fresh, hopefully, going into the game on Wednesday. Without playing for the last 6 months, it's going to be hard for him to keep up the level that he showed playing 2 games in the space of a week. So, and I think we got Tell there. We got someone like Scarlett there. We've got other players that we can play and still should be able to get the win, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would do the same. But I think that would mean you're prioritising Wednesday.
I don't think so. I'm just prioritising getting the best out of Solanke. And I think getting the best out of Solanke is playing him on Wednesday instead of playing him this weekend.
I'm saying, forget that. Just say the medical team.
Can't forget that, but that's the situation.
Let's say the medical team.
You and your bloody hypotheticals.
I'm trying to get you down to a position. I'm saying, let's say.
I've told you my position.
No. Let's say.
No, I've told you my position.
Listen what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying.
Well, no, listen to what I'm about to say.
Oh, here we go.
Let's say the medical staff say.
You've already said that.
No, listen. Solanke's going to be just as good on Saturday or Wednesday, but you can only play one of those games.
But that's not a case, though, is it? That's not
what
real.
Do you do?
That's not real.
Doesn't matter. That's why it's called a hypothetical. What do you do?
I probably still play him. Probably play him this weekend then.
Then you play him this weekend. Okay.
Probably play him this weekend, but that's not the reality, though. The reality is I play him on Wednesday.
So I'm just trying to see how far you'd go to prioritise this.
How far I would go. Yeah. I'll play him on Wednesday because of the real situation with Solanke. But it's so important, this game. I can't stress that enough. We have to get 3 points.
All right. It's an important one, and we'll see. We'll see where this leaves Thomas Frank. It feels like there's a referendum on his tenure now after every game, which is obviously a horrible place to be. And with each loss, on each performance, there's swings. Oh, this one's hurting him in this amount of time. Now he's got to go. obviously the Dortmund win, I always felt if he beat Dortmund, he would always get this game. But whether a loss now gets him sacked, I think it's so much is riding now on performance and result and just what the 90 minutes holds, it feels like. It's like there was just no way to
at this point
head up a project, is it?
At this point, we probably all know he's not going to be here next season. Well, we would probably all hope that he's not going to be here next season, I would say. So at this point, do you just give him the Champions League run and that's it?
Just wait till he's out of the Champions League.
Yeah.
You could do, but you could also say if you got someone else in, you could potentially make a run for Europe if you improve results.
That's the thing, though. The reality is, if we do sack him, we're stuck with an interim from now to the end of the season. That interim, who is it going to be? Ryan Mason or Jurgen Klinsmann? You know what I mean? Like, the interims is not exactly going to be better than Frank. There's no guarantee of that. So, I don't know. I think that's probably the way they're looking at it. Probably just give it till he's out the Champions League.
And then just give up on the league.
Yeah, as long as we're safe. And 3 points this weekend will go some way to doing that.
Season will be over in March.
Now we're going to Budapest.
On holiday.
No, Champions League final.
Stag do.
Well, you're getting married.
Someone is. I'm sure someone in the squad.
Never told me you're getting married, but yeah, I think they'll probably try and ride it out.
Fabrizio's just tweeted something, is he?
Here we go.
Romano says
we've sent an official offer.
Tottenham sent an official offer for Robertson as Liverpool and Spurs are in advanced talks for the left back. Negotiations well underway with THFC on it. Imagine negotiations were underway with Tottenham off it.
We're bringing in a Champions League winner to try and win us the Champions League.
Pedigree, a player with pedigree.
All right, guys, we're both on the watch long tomorrow. No one fancied going to Burnley this weekend, it seemed, but yeah. Daniel Black says, here we go soon. I'm sure as soon as we come off the stream and leave the studio and get in our car, the here we go is going to come. But as of now, that is all we have for you guys today. We'll see you all tomorrow on the watch long, if not before. 3 o'clock kickoff. So come and join us at 2:45. Very much looking forward to it. Like,